Greetings photography pals, and today I'm taking a closer look at another of Nikon's super telephoto lenses, the Z180 to 600mm f5.6 to 6.3 VR, which is only for their mirrorless Z mount cameras, full frame or aps-c. Telephoto zoom lenses with very long ranges such as this have really become quite popular these days, and for good reason. They give you a fantastic reach but allow you to zoom out to look for your subject before zooming back in to get your picture, really useful for wildlife photography. They tend to have quite decent image quality too, and they're not too big and heavy. At $1,700 or £1,800 here in the UK, this Nikon offering is more expensive than the older Tamron and Sigma lenses that really started this trend, and a cheaper competitor to it is the new Tamron 150 to 500mm lens that's recently arrived on Nikon Z mount. However, the Nikon lens obviously offers a bit more range. I'd like to thank Nikon UK for loaning me a copy of this lens for a couple of weeks for testing, along with a Z8 camera, but as usual this is a totally independent review. Here is the lens itself, a quite beautiful design. It's pretty long and thin, and at nearly 2 kilograms it's a little heavy actually, but still hand holdable. It's made of strong quality plastic, it's well weather sealed, and it zooms internally, which is always a lovely touch. Nikon's teleconverters can be used with this lens, potentially extending its reach to 1200mm. Here are some basic controls on the back, a switch for auto or manual focus, and a focus limiter switch also. I really like the lens's metallic tripod mount. It's firm and secure, while also being easy to loosen and adjust, or even completely remove. In front of that comes a smooth turning customizable control ring, which is set to control focus by default, and as a focus ring it's very precise and responsive. Some good news about this lens is that, whether you're zoomed in or zoomed out, it displays almost no focus breathing. Nice! As you'd expect, the lens's autofocus motor is quick, silent, and quite accurate in use, particularly with the Z8 camera I was testing at the same time, and it had absolutely no trouble tracking basically any subject at all, no matter what I was shooting. Something else I should mention is that the lens is image stabilized, and even at 600mm, that stabilization is spectacularly good, holding your image wonderfully steady. Very, very useful. Anyway, in front of that focus ring comes the lens's large rubberized zoom ring, which turns very smoothly without any stickiness to it. In front of that come 4 customizable L function buttons. The front of the lens is rubberized for extra protection against knocks and bumps. The lens also has a 95mm front filter thread. It also comes with a fairly deep plastic hood that locks securely in place. Overall, this is exactly the kind of build quality you would expect from a decent Nikon telephoto offering in this price range. It feels lovely to use, and its excellent autofocus and image stabilization make it very stable to use also. Okay, let's take a look at image quality. As I mentioned, I'll be testing this lens on a Nikon Z8 camera with its full frame 45MP sensor. In-camera corrections are turned on. At 180mm and f5.6, contrast is excellent and the image is bitingly sharp in the middle. Corner image quality is virtually as good, so a nice start. The lens stays this sharp down to f11, but from f16 we are definitely seeing softness emerging due to diffraction. Let's zoom into 400mm now, where the maximum aperture has darkened to f6. Resolution is great in the middle of the image, but not quite as razor sharp as at 180mm. The image corners look about the same, excellent but not perfect. Stop down to f8 and there's just a tiny improvement in sharpness and contrast across the whole image frame, but again that's as sharp as the lens gets. Finally, let's zoom all the way into 600mm. At the new maximum aperture of f6.3, both sharpness and contrast in the middle of the image are just good. The image corners are just a touch softer, but still good enough. Stop down to f8 and the corners see just a touch more resolution, but the middle of the image is still about the same. Stopping down to f11 or darker doesn't improve anything. Overall, the lens is at its sharpest at wider angles. While it's always decently sharp, you slowly lose resolution as you zoom in. The result at 600mm is fine, but I was certainly hoping for a bit more fine detail there. Okay, let's turn off in-camera corrections and take a look at distortion and vignetting. At 180mm, we see only a touch of pincushion distortion, and vignetting is very low too, with the corners getting even brighter if you stop down to f8. Zoom in to 600mm and you'll notice that the light pincushion distortion remains across the whole zoom range. Again, even at f6.3, vignetting is very low on this lens. Let's see about close-up image quality now. For the best magnification, zoom into 600mm, where the minimum focus distance is about 2.5 meters. At f6.3, close-up image quality is just good, although we are seeing a little color fringing. Stop down to f8 and that color fringing at least is reduced. Let's see how the lens works against bright light. Again, no problems here. Whether you're zoomed in or out, we see no real flaring and only a small loss in general contrast. Finally, let's have a look at the quality of this lens's bokeh. I'm not seeing any issues here at all, either in deeply out of focus areas or transitional zones. The bokeh always looks lovely and smooth to me. Overall, I had mixed feelings about the Z180-600. I absolutely loved its handling and build quality, and it always produces good images with high contrast, and the possibility to use teleconverters with it is pretty interesting too. Its only weakness is that I wish it was sharper when zoomed in. It's good, but if you're shooting at 45 megapixels, it won't blow you away at 600mm by any means. And at $1,700, the lens is not fantastic value for money. There are similar options around, especially if you own a Nikon F to Z mount adapter, which could offer you nearly the same quality for a lot less money. None of that is to say I didn't enjoy testing the lens though. There's nothing wrong with it. It's still a nice optic that certainly makes long telephoto work quite easy. I can still recommend it, although if you want to stick with a Nikon lens, a sharper option for you might be their excellent 400mm f4.5. Okay, thanks for watching everyone. Two things. Firstly, there are a bunch of new playlists on my channel, specially designed to help you get to lens reviews that work on your camera. And second, a special thank you to my Patreon supporters, of course. Every bit of support makes a big difference, and supporters also get all kinds of exclusive bonus content. I love posting things for supporters on Patreon, so check it out in the description below. And ciao for now, everyone.